Meditation and Spiritual Life, Swami Yatiswarananda. Hatred is as bad as attachment. Hatred is as bad as attachment. In fact, it is the same thing. Attachment and hatred are but the two sides of the same coin. As I said before, never delude yourself into thinking that one is better than the other. Both are fetters and degrade the human being, preventing him from rising to his true stature. Both must be renounced. Let us take the question of anger. Why are we angry? Only because someone or something is standing in the way of what we think to be the object of our enjoyment. That is the only reason for our anger. Always we find that anger is closely connected with an overstressed ego or a strong sense of personality. Without the strong sense of the ego and an inordinate desire for enjoyment, physical and mental, anger could never even rise in our hearts. So, this ego, this desire for enjoyment, is the only cause of our becoming angry. If we do not desire any enjoyment, if we do not expect anything from anybody but just give an act without ever expecting any return, there can never be any rise of anger. So, we should get angry with our anger and not with others. So, we should get angry with our anger and not with others. We should get terribly angry with our desires for sense enjoyment and not with the objects as such. The only practical way is to sublimate anger and eventually eliminate it. And without eliminating anger and other associated evils to a great extent, we can never make any progress in spiritual life. Lust and anger are the two greatest enemies in the spiritual path. So, they should be carefully avoided by all aspirants. Thus, wherever there is anger, there is some attachment or other, some inordinate desire or affection. Truly speaking, without attachment to some person or thing, there can never rise any form of anger. It is only our thwarted will to enjoy that brings about anger. But this should be understood more in a subtle sense than in a gross one. It need not necessarily be any craving for the grosser forms of enjoyment, but that lies at the root of anger. Some people become aggressive when they practice renunciation. This is because when the pull of attachment is reduced, the pull of hatred becomes stronger. Many spiritual aspirants become easily irritable and short tempered in the early stages of sadhana. This is a reaction to the half hearted attempts at renunciation they make. External renunciation is not always followed by internal detachment. Internal attachment conflicts with outer renunciation and leads to tensions. True renunciation must be renunciation of attachment and hatred. Only when we start practicing the renunciation do we realize what sort of wretched life we are living till then. We also realize that it is the whole of the past that is now the greatest obstacle. This leads to remorse and repentance. There may be an amount of healthy and manly self criticism, but it should never become destructive or end in negative emotionalism. Don't say, oh, what a sinner, what a despicable creature I am. But learn to say, if I did wrong in the past, it is over. Let me know that I have done wrong, but let me not brood over it. Let us turn over a new leaf and do better in future. Let me be more wide awake in future. Learn to be a human being instead of being an animal. That is the proper way. Whether we are young or old, we must all be reborn in the world of the spirit and begin our march towards the truth.